Maybe it's okay that friendship is temporary and transient, and that some people come into your life for a reason, some for a season, and maybe a few stay for life. Welcome to the You and You podcast, hosted by me, Sanjiv Sangha. If you enjoy this episode, please hit the like button or share it with your friends. Your support means a world to me. It allows me to continue doing this, and I'm ever so grateful for that. In this podcast, we explore a new word or a phrase in every episode and how it's impacted my life and the journey I've taken with it. Some of these words can be incredibly challenging, but my hope is to offer you some insight and maybe some inspiration, or just something to spark something that might help you in whatever challenges you might be facing, in order to let you move through those slightly quicker. So let's dive in and explore today's word, which is friendship. What is friendship? What's friendship to you? Is it someone that you meet and everyone is your friend in that moment? Or is it a bit more deeper? The definition of friendship is a close relationship between people characterized by mutual affection, trust, support, and understanding. Friends share experiences, provide emotional support, and contribute to each other's well-being. I thought I'd do this episode because it's come up a lot for me recently, and it's been hurting a little bit as well. Right now, I've had to evaluate some friendships and social circles that I've been hanging out in, and to decide whether or not they were right for me. There's part of me that's had to let go of many relationships over the last 6 years. It's been hard, it's been transformative, and some people have let go of me as well. And I've had to really think long and hard about why. Why am I creating that change? What needed to change? So what is friendship? What are your friendships like? Are they deep? Are they personal? Or are they more like acquaintances? And I think we have to be really mindful about what a friendship is, an acquaintance. Maybe your family members are your best friends, and that is so okay. Friendship should bring joy and excitement into your life. You normally meet people because you share an interest. When you're younger, it's often we're in it together. Maybe it's through a club, football, ballet, art club, I don't know, school. When I was at school, I didn't really have any good or consistent friendships until I was about 13 or 14 years old. That's when I met people who accepted me for who I was. Before that, I didn't really fit in. I still don't sometimes. I had some really nice friends at primary school, but they'd move away, or maybe they were in the year below, because I was quite a lot younger in my year. Transitioning into secondary school, it never felt very stable because of clashes of personality. Once I started choosing my own subjects and being specific, things started to change. I began finding people who I could actually hang out with, where we had shared interests, whether it was art or sports. And that was so lovely. And I had a really good network of friends until I went to university. And then things changed all again. It was so different. And I stayed close with some of those school friends even to this day. At university, I learned that friendship can be very transient. My year group was very small when I studied architecture, and I lived in a really tiny halls of residence. So there was only like 30 of us. In that building, there was one person that was a little bit older, and he was living in a flat with some people from my year, funnily enough, in what I was studying. And I used to hang out with him and his flatmates and his friends, and it was so fun. We used to go out all the time. But when he left after my first year, that group fell away, and I had to go out and make new friends. And I found it really, really challenging, because like your first year friends are the ones that kind of ground you. And I missed all my old friends. And I realized, though, that maybe it's okay that friendship is temporary and transient, and that some people come into your life for a reason, some for a season, and maybe a few stay for life. There are people I thought would stay forever, and I've been so gutted when they haven't, whether that's their choice or my choice, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. There are people who I've deeply loved who aren't in my life anymore. And it doesn't mean that you have to be angry at them. And it's okay to miss them and actually appreciate the fun times you had for what they were and like the joy they brought. Later on, life slowed down. I stopped making as many friends because I was in a relationship. And then I moved back to my hometown and I reconnected with my school friends. And I was embraced and I loved it. It was so nice. It was so fun. It helped that they were local. We could just walk to each other's houses. We shared culture. We shared history. We had fun. It can be hard to maintain close friendships from far away. Not always, but sometimes. But some friendships also last decades. There are people that I've known for over 20 years now. And even if I only see them every few years, it's like no time has passed. When I moved to London, I joined a sports club to make friends. And that gave me a real sense of community. I met with a wide range of people. Some I bonded with deeply. And then, from lots of different cultures. And then, some friends I made through work or shared interests. Friendship is about what you do together, but there has to be a balance and an equilibrium because otherwise it just goes off and it never works out. We choose to spend our free time with friends, and time is one of our most valuable commodities that we have, along with our health, both physical and mental. Some people, I hate to say it, can drain you and they might leave you feeling worse and not great about yourself. And sometimes that's just the moment. They might be hurting and they're taking it out on you. Is that okay? Not really, but I think you can have a conversation with them and decide whether or not it's acceptable to you and also kind of have that conversation about it. But that in itself is really challenging to have that conversation. I once had a friend, maybe we should say acquaintance, who always wanted me to pay. I didn't earn much, the same as them, if not a bit less, and I found it so stressful. I'd be wondering what excuse they would be making for forgetting their wallet that day. Eventually, that friendship just had to end. I had another friend who suffered with severe anxiety. We used to have so much fun together. We were friends on off for about 15 years. They were hot and cold, and sometimes I was the complete center of their world, and other times I would be ignored for months, if not years. And when I started understanding my own self-worth, I realized it wasn't my issue to fix and that I had to let go, even though it was hard, and that we did have so much fun together because they were hurting me and making me feel like I didn't deserve a space in their life, which is kind of quite detrimental in your own. It became clear only when I was talking to a work colleague about it, and they just said, that's not a good way to treat a friend. And then that really hit me and it made me stop and reflect. Did this friendship work for me, or was it that I was just available for them whenever they needed? Friendship is about consistency. And it doesn't mean that you have to speak every day, every week, but there needs to be a mutual care and respect. I've had to let go of a best friend. It was one of the most painful things I've ever done. And I felt very guilty and a lot of guilt around this. It took me years to recover. And maybe to a certain degree, I haven't necessarily still yet. But you only have one life and you have to live it for you and not for others. The right people will come into your life at the right time for the right reason. And it's okay to choose yourself as well. I recently met an amazing group of sheroes. There was one person in the group that wasn't a shero and they weren't a woman either, so it's okay. But that one person caused me a lot of anxiety. And I had to make a decision. Did I want to keep engaging in a situation that made me feel very uncomfortable before I was going to even attend an event? And I decided no. And I can choose not to. And I had to decide that I had to do it with grace and care for myself and others. I was gutted because that group helped me through a really rough time. Not because they did anything for me, but it was nice to be able to tap into it. But even though that chapter has ended, there was something beautiful in what we shared. In your relationships, there should be harmony, care, compassion, and laughter. Lots of laughter. I love to laugh. I've learned so much from my friends, their perspectives, their interests, their stories. And, you can only grow from it. As you get older, it can feel harder to maintain friendships. But if you choose to, you'll find people in different pockets of your life, at work, through your hobbies, through shared passions. Maybe you love walking, join a group. Maybe you like cooking or reading or a sport. Board games, there's loads of board game cafes that have opened recently. Find something you enjoy and connect with others through it. Friendships grow when you share something meaningful. If you're feeling lonely right now, it's okay. Friendships will come and develop, but start with what you love. Find groups near you, nurture the friendships that lift you up, and think about the ones that drain you. And are you that draining person? If something feels off, ask yourself, can it be changed? If not, maybe it's time to let go. You can have open conversations, but remember, not everyone likes hearing difficult truths. And maybe you're not the person to be telling them that. It's about balance, as I said. Still, you have a choice in how you behave in a friendship and what you might expect in return. True friendship is a two-way street. It must have balance. You won't be able to find balance all the time, but over time, proportionally. Because if we take on everybody else's needs and forget our own, we stop being seen and we stop being nourished. And we do need to be seen. Everybody does. Everybody has a space. I probably only open up to a handful of people, and that's not even all the time. I once met somebody who said every time she hit a big milestone, she cleared her phone book. Honestly, I don't think that's a bad idea, but some might be a bit harsh as well. Sometimes I bump into old friends and it's lovely to catch up, but I don't always regret that they're no longer part of my life in my day to day. And then there's others I can't wait to see and spend time with. Just yesterday, I cooked for other people for the first time in absolutely ages. And I was so excited about cooking for them, for sharing my time with them and my space. It was so lovely to bring joy into my home. And that's what I like. That's what I want to do more of. Thank you for sharing your time with me. If you have any questions, please send them over to me on at Sanjiv Sangha on Instagram. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you for listening. Have a top-tastic day. Yay!